Welcome to Exotical Chronicles. If you've been here before, then welcome back to my channel. As a reminder, this is where we discuss the dark side of having pretty privilege as a mixed race, multi-ethnic Black woman in society, and how misconceptions of a life of ease have hidden the truths of what we go through with friends, family, and the world. Here, we also conduct raw and honest discussions about how young girls and women can escape potential threats to their environment and mental well-being by understanding how they are perceived by others, especially those who attempt to cause you pain and suffering for simply being beautiful. This video is about the super popular, well-known 90s icon Stacey Dash, and I wanted to discuss how Stacey is seemingly hated by many due to a lot of her conflicting ideas, controversial appearances, and some of her known drug use, amongst other things. But rather than pick her apart, I wanted to use her as an example today because here in this exotical community, I think we all deal with hate to some degree, and we have to admit, Stacey Dash is the it girl. She has unmatched beauty, she is super smart, crazy talented, she definitely has a resume to prove it, she's rich, and she doesn't look a day over 35. So I wanted to ask, have you all ever been left out of what you would consider a significant occasion for reasons known or unknown? Reasons I believe that pretty mixed girls or exotical women like us are left out of things is because we're a threat. This is commonly known, right? The beautiful and talented 90s pop icon Stacey Dash is the case for today because of this. She is known for both her undeniable and striking beauty, as well as her controversial comments and tumultuous relationships with other professionals in the entertainment industry. Stacey Dash's political views, for example, have been the topic of much discussion over the years since she decided to switch her political party affiliation to Republican. And after voting Democrat for Barack Obama in 2008 during his first term, she actually later endorsed Republican presidential nominee Mitt Romney in 2012, and then Donald Trump in 2016. Stacey is known to be very vocal about her political ideology and hasn't seemed to care much about what other people think, or at least it appears that way. Many might say that she doesn't think before she speaks, but honestly, I think she just simply does not care about other people's opinions of her. Speaking of which, I think she strategically leveraged her exceptional beauty and exoticism for fame and relevance, kind of like what we're doing here. I think her acting was good. No, it was great. We know Stacey from the early 90s when she did her big screen debut in Clueless and in other roles like Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and The Cosby Show and in several music videos. She was in that old show The Game as well. You guys remember that? After this, however, it seems that she started to become synonymous with scandals. She started to learn very quickly that neither her Black or white colleagues agreed with some of her commentary. You can look up and read about the comments she made about Jay-Z and Beyonce, for example, or about transgender bathrooms on another occasion. She was also a Fox News commentator or correspondent, I'm not sure, for a minute, and many wondered why she was selected for this gig. But unsurprisingly, she jeopardized her time at Fox very early in her stint there due to some of her political ideologies, but most importantly, for her bold decision to actually share them on national television. I think we can all agree that she's used to attention, both good and bad. She didn't care that she lost supporters because of it. She was probably tired of being the picture of perfection. I'm sure that we all can agree that trying to uphold this quote unquote nice girl facade to make others feel comfortable in our presence can be exhausting, which is why I heed the advice of other women in this exotical community, which is to quote unquote stop being nice. Period. People will always misinterpret who you truly are because of this. So until you decide to show them your true colors, and oftentimes they are shocked and taken aback when they realize that you're real, authentic, and no nonsense. they're always going to mistreat you. So, Lord knows that I've had to check a few people in my own life for expecting me to shrink myself for their comfort. And I will actually gladly dissect those scenarios in another video. Which begs the question, do you think Stacey had a space like this? Anyway, I really wonder if she had any kind of safe space where she could do what we do. Which brings me to the next important thing to note, her drug use. I found it so sad that Stacey turned to drugs in recent years, and I truly do empathize with her and without judgment. I do believe that she started to use controlled substances as a coping mechanism. Given the unwanted controversy surrounding her, her failed marriages, the loss of her parents, and the inevitable reality of ageism in Hollywood, she probably needed a way to manage all of this. In addition to being highly scrutinized throughout her entire career because of her unmatched beauty, Stacey probably was carrying the world on her shoulders. I'm sure that some of us can relate to this as well. However, most of us here are faceless. We have anonymous platforms where we vent and openly discuss these things. But Stacey, I assume, didn't have that. So, not that we can relate to her fame or her celebrity status in particular, right? But definitely to her wanting to become invisible due to the pressures of society. Drug use tends to do this. And I know that we mostly empower one another as exoticals to show up in the world as the beautiful, confident, and secure human beings that we are, but it still requires energy. It takes a lot of energy, discernment, self preservation, awareness, self soothing, aka coping, and prayer to endure the inescapable judgments and expectations of those who are deaf to our unique experiences as exotical women with both brains and beauty. But back to the point on people accusing Stacey of not thinking before she speaks and actually prompting her to shrink who she is. Pretty girls have very active minds of our own, and this channel and community allows us all to vent and have an open dialogue, which in turn allows us to connect with others who can relate to our experiences and even deeper, our internalized trauma. So it's safe to say that I'm of the assumption that Stacey Dash has always been and always will be pretty comfortable with being hated. And the topic of being left out also is relevant to her because where is she, right? I feel like for the most part, she's super low key. I don't see her on television anymore. I don't see her at any red carpet events or known award shows. Like, is this by choice or is she just simply not being invited? I like that I was able to see that she has a clothing line and she's branded herself, differently now at her mature age, but, still just as beautiful as ever, of course. But I couldn't help but notice her absence from the public eye, and I wonder if, that is a result of her receiving public backlash for some of her commentary and opinions that she shared on certain media platforms and whatnot. But, you know, is that an indication that she has shrunk herself or is in hiding? I know you have to do certain things to protect your peace, but Stacey, we need you. Our community in particular, who agrees with me? Stacey, you are that girl, and you could be our spokesperson. I just really miss her. And so, what made me think of this topic, which kind of is a hybrid of being comfortable with being hated, but also being excluded from certain things, was my personal experience with someone that I called a friend for the past several years, and who seemingly, upon gaining popularity, wealth, and newfound attention and fame as an influencer, just stopped inviting me around. I was always at her house with her kids, went overseas with her for her wedding, and often asked how I could support her in her business. But over time, I realized that I was just kind of in the background. This situation has all kinds of complexities and Long story short, we had a very ugly falling out. And to this day, her mom is actually trying to mend things between us. So perhaps I can talk about this separately in another video, but I wanted to share that I actually had a personal experience with feeling quote unquote left out and essentially hated by this individual, which prompted me to come in here and kind of quickly discuss, the topic of being comfortable with hate and then using Stacey Dash as an example. But I have to be extra careful because of who she is, and I'm not trying to get hit with any kind of cease and desist orders. So you know how that goes. But at any rate, it is important to recognize and challenge these perceptions, promoting a more nuanced and respectful understanding of people's diverse backgrounds, experiences, and identities. I hope to continue unpacking both the shared and individual experiences of exotic stereotypes so that we can both mitigate harm to our own personas. Thank you for watching today, and until next time.